judges are ready, the fighters are ready, the boxing world is ready.
The fight starts now!
Let's go.
How do you like it? On the show.
So aggressive, so focused.
It all comes down to this. Still the undisputed champion of the world.
Fight Night, only on DAZN.
Wow, look at that, the Cube. We are back in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That venue right next to it is called the Venue. That's where the tennis is going to be held next week. And just next to that, which you probably can't see in that shot, is the Kingdom Arena. What I'm trying to say is we're back right in the thick of it for something very special this weekend. Beterbiev versus Bivol for everything. All the marbles at 175 pounds and the right, I think, to be crowned one of the best light heavyweights of all time. The Avenger team has been assembled again. Barry Jones, Darren Barker, nearly forgot your name, Barry, there. Just for about half a second, it kind of skipped me for a bit. We are here, guys. We're here again. By the way, it's been a year since Fury and Ngannou. How's that happened? Like a year. Like if you told me that was 6 months ago, I'd have said, okay, it was 6 months ago.
We were walking around on our own.
We were just me and you, right? We put our hands up to go, and look what's happened since we did that, Barry. But no, before we talk about what's coming up on Saturday, just a reflection on the year because of Riyadh season, how it's changed the landscape of boxing.
It's weird because it feels like a million miles away. And it just feels like a lifetime away since we first came here. But also, like, we've done so many shows. It's just been so quick, hasn't it? Like one after the other, just bang, we're going again. Bang, we're going again. And they're not just little shows; they're mega events.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, some of the fights we've had recently, just would never have seen them. No, the Fury Usyk fight. When would you? Well, that would never happen. This fight here, no, on Saturday.
Impossible.
It's just never. They're never going to happen. There's no money for it. So like, we got the fight. And like for boxing fans now, this is one of the golden eras. We, especially old people like myself, we go back to the 80s, which is the greatest time in boxing history, in my view. But I don't know about the fight, if the fighters are as good, but the fact that we're getting the fights we want to see, we're in that sort of era now. We're getting the best fight, the best, and let's just take a moment and realise how blessed we are and lucky we are to get that opportunity to see those fights.
Yeah, we've had good fights, right? It's been sprinkled in the last sort of 10 years. We've had a sprinkling of good fights. What we've not really had is events, and I feel like Riyadh season's given us sort of events. Like it's not just about Saturday, is it, or the weigh-in? It's about the whole week and then the big one, the crescendo on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, these have been epic in Riyadh. We've had LA, we've had London. I mean, how great was London? It was brilliant. You know, all of these. But
I'm not over London yet.
No, I mean, it was remarkable. The weigh-in was epic, but every single event, whether it's in Riyadh, LA, or London, they've been magical, and they've built and they've generated so much buzz. And I think we've been so fortunate as well because the fights have never disappointed. Yeah. They've been so good. And you look at this main event and it is epic. But you look down the card once again and you can't help but smile. We are living the dream. And when you look at this, I mean, it doesn't get much better.
Look at all the gold there as well. I mean, again, we've been speaking about the best fight and the best, and sometimes, unfortunately, boxing because of politics and all this stuff about you're on the other side of the road and you're with this promoter, all that is now out the window, and we get that because of it, Barry.
Yeah, and we get a fight here where they're so evenly matched that you could genuinely make a case for either one to win, and you wouldn't be wrong. And this is a fight where with your prediction, you'll be wrong because the one guy's going to lose. But I mean, you couldn't be wrong with your assumption who's going to win because they both have almost an equal. I think Beterbiev has to be the favourite, but I mean, they both have equal amount of chances to win almost. You know, you could see a path for either one. Because one's a technical genius, and the other one's a puncher with intelligence. It's just unbelievable, isn't it?
It's so good, and I wouldn't even be surprised, especially the way that this has gone. Like, who would have thought that Usyk would be pushing Tyson Fury back? You wouldn't be blown away if Bivol was to hold the centre of the ring against Beterbiev. Like you know, there are so many ways, so many variables that this fight could be won or lost for both. It's just a remarkable fight.
Yeah, that's the main event, which we're going to dive deep into, don't worry, guys. But let me show you what we've got coming your way on Saturday. Here is the full card. Marco Maric kicks things off against Pablo Rosas. Then we go to the local guy, Mohamed Alakal, who was born in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, now based in Scotland, trained under Joey Gallagher. He takes on Jesus Gonzalez. Ben Whittaker, the showman, is on the card against Liam Cameron. Then the first ever women's fight in Riyadh season. Sky Nicholson takes on Raven Chapman. They fight for the featherweight WBC featherweight title. Chris Eubank Jr., talking of showmans, he's on the card against Camille Zaramata for the vacant IBO middleweight title. And then we get to the big boys. And this is some serious big boys. Jai Pattaya, the current, I think, best cruiserweight in the world, defends his IBF title against Jack Massey, coming off that incredible win against Isaac Chamberlain. Fabio Wardley versus Fraser Clark, get it on again in what was maybe the fight of the year. They fight again, round 13 coming up. And then look at all the gold there. Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol for every single belt in the light heavyweight division. Honestly, incredible. What has also been incredible as well has been, I mean, the promos for these fight cards have been sensational. I think, though, this could be the best one. Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol, a bit of Games of Thrones-esque, I think.
Legend tells, at the peak of the highest mountain, there lay dormant for thousands of years a mystical crown with the power to rule all of mankind. Lusted by men, willing to die for its gift. Unspeakable horrors. A wasteland of the fallen. Hunted from the shadows, they danced with death. Braving the path to glory. Challenging every fiber of their being. While two emerged undefeated. There could be only one possible outcome. For one to wield the power to rule them all.
Loads on the line, loads, absolutely loads. Again, look, it'll be interesting to get both of your take on this because there's been so many fantastic light heavyweights over the years, right? I mean, Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr., your good mate Joe Calzaghe, Bob Foster, there's so many. Where does the winner rank in the discussion? You don't want to go back 100 years, but where does the winner rank in the discussion of recent light heavyweights?
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, right up there. Right up there. I mean, Roy Jones probably wasn't his favoured division, but I think on his day had the ability to beat anyone. Joe Calzaghe, I'm always going to back him. Kovalev, we were talking earlier. Kovalev, imagine Pete Kovalev versus Pete Beterbiev.
Lord.
I mean, what a fight.
Andre Ward.
Andre Ward,
yeah.
exactly. I mean, there is some real good fights, but you couldn't argue with either of these two taking on any of them.
I mean, yes, you go back. You know, the light heavyweight division has been one of the most glamour divisions, I think. I mean, we had some of the best fighters: Ezra Charles, Archie Moore, Billy Conn. You can go on forever with the list, of course. Bob Foster, obviously,
What a fighter.
brilliant. But Ezra Charles probably reigns at #1 still. But I just think that they're in the conversation, and it's all about preference. But I think for recently, I think, let's just go from the 70s on. They're right in there. There's been some great divisions with great real fights, fights like this. And this is right up there with them. It is. It really is. This is like the Matthew Sahil Mohammed versus Jackie Lopez. They were wars, and this fight has the potential to be as good as those fights. So you have to say whoever wins this fight, is in the conversation for top 10 light heavyweights of all time.
There's been a lot of conversation about Beterbiev's age, right? 39, although he doesn't physically look 39. I mean, against Callum Smith, he looked like a guy that was 30, the way in which he was marauding forward. But there's also the question mark of the knee injury. I mean, and it has to be spoken about because, yes, Bivol's known as the mover, but Beterbiev moves as well. How damaging is that? I mean, could he really be 100% considering the surgery was only a few months ago?
I don't think so, but you don't know. And people say he wouldn't take the fight unless he was ready. You take fights because you get paid, that's your job. And sometimes you have to take the fight or it disappears. And you tend to think, see, having the power he's got, great. But if you haven't got the feet to get in the distance, you're just shadow boxing. That's all you're doing. And he closes the distance as good as Golovkin, as good as Canelo. He's brilliant at that. So I tend to think that he needs his feet. He needs that balance. And also, when you're a big punch like he is, you get the purchase off your feet, Darren.
Yeah, you do. Look, if this is football and you've got that injury, you could be out for the season.
Yeah.
You know, it's a serious injury, and Barry's right, he does need his feet, but someone like Beterbiev, if he wasn't 100% fit, maybe not 100%, I think when you get to this stage of your career, I don't think anyone's 100%, but you're just seeing how damaging he is. I mean, look, with both hands, I was watching fights earlier today, just more of Beterbiev, and he's knocking people down with jabs. I mean, he's just frightening how hard he hits with both hands.
But the variety and the thought, I said that earlier on, you know, he's a puncher with intelligence. The thought in his work, like Ant did so well in that fight, but Beterbiev, he had a little bit of a sticky patch, but he looked tired, but he comes back, he regroups. And look at the work there with Callum Smith. Every punch hits the target. He doesn't load up, so the body mechanics is perfect. That's why he can throw heavy shots for 12 rounds, and he can throw in combinations. And that's a dangerous prospect. He's naturally heavy-handed, but his technique is flawless. He turns from the hips and the shoulders. He uses all the muscle in the back of his body by pushing off the legs, and you don't see it. But like footballers, how hard they kick the ball, you can say, how do they do it that hard?
Yeah, when they say there's no backlift.
But it is, but they're so good at it that you don't see it, and
So,
he's the same.
Yeah, I mean, to the naked eye, you might think that some of that's reckless, but it's not. There's so much thought in his work. The variation with the right hand, you know, some of those shots, it looks like he's bowling a cricket ball, he's coming wide, but he knows where the opponent's lead hand's going to be, and he comes over that shot. He exploits the weaknesses all the time. He's so smart. Though it might look, like I say, to the naked eye, like he's just ploughing forward, he's always thinking, always dangerous.
And like Canelo, he hits you anywhere. So once you feel that power straight away, that puts you on notice. So you start to think, oh, I got to be sharp. And with that thought process, an extra thought process, you trying to be sharp tensions you up. And what that does is slows you down, does the opposite of what you want to do. And then he's got you, then he closes you up. And you see people like Callum Smith, real experienced, good fighters, be submissive. I don't want to be disrespectful, Callum Smith's a good fighter, but they back up and they give him up, they help him do his work. Because he's hit them anyway, just feel it, so they're aware of what's going on.
It's interesting you say hit him everywhere, because I was watching a piece before we came here about his sparring partners, and they kept on saying he keeps hitting me in the hips, and it slows their movement down because they're so used to trying to block the punches upstairs, they're not blocking these ones, and he's hitting you in your hips.
And you have no idea how it can affect you during a 12-round fight. It's a long, long time. When you're getting hit on the arms, the shoulders, they do damage. A lot of people don't understand the pain that it can put on you. You know, and he's smart with it. Again, that's intelligence. He knows down the stretch that's going to hurt. He doesn't always finish his opponents early. You've got to remember that as well. There's 3 fights. 2 of the fights he stops in the 10th round and 1 in the final round. That shows that he carries his power late. That is there from the first bell to the very last bell.
I think of his resume, before we talk about Dimitri Bivol, I think of his resume. And I think of names like Tavoris Cloud, obviously Joe Smith is on there, Vosdick, Callum Smith, Anthony Yard. What's his best win? What's his best win, do you think?
I think, do you know what? I think Yard's a really good win, because I like the way Yard approached the fight. He come in with little hope, really, but tried to really get stuck in. And it was a really game effort from Yard. And he was hurt a couple of times, Beterbiev, but still showed the skill, the power in that contest. That's one that stands out to me.
Yourself, Barry?
But also, I've got to say, I'll try and answer that. No, I can't really answer, but I'll try. But early in his career, he was beating Tavoris Cloud and Campiello, who were former world champions, like 7th and 8th fights. He was battered in those. They knew straight away how good this guy was. We're going to rush him quick to a world title. I maybe say is Joe Smith. The Joe Smith fight, I think, was a pretty good win.
Joe Smith was a puncher as well,
and
wasn't
also a guy you think who was a busy fighter who might cause him problems. Again, there's no style that he hasn't obliterated. Let's make that clear. Even the fights where he's had a bit of trouble, in the end, you end up on the floor.
Yeah.
And what he does so well is not every shot's the punch to knock you out. He touches and whips up through the middle. He's so clever. He's more than just a big puncher. He's an intelligent fighter.
All right, here is the man that he's going to take on, Dimitri Bivol. And I mean, this was the performance, right? The stand-up performance of his career so far. And yes, there will be some that say, okay, Canelo was going up from 168 pounds, but it's about fighting Canelo in Vegas, at the time a pound-for-pound king as well. That's an incredible performance from Dimitri Bivol.
He had the size, so of course he did, but he was intelligent. He did his homework, he studied Canelo. Canelo beats you up and then takes a rest. And every time he took that little rest, only a second rest, Bivol threw combinations and punched straight. He didn't punch short to punch with Canelo. He punched straight and pushed him back. It was tactically the perfect fight to beat Canelo. He needed the size to do it, but you still got to do it. And I think he's been fantastic.
Cannot wait for this one. That was the weekend preview brought to you by DAZN. Remember to join us this Saturday for the 4-Crown Showdown live on DAZN.
Live on DAZN, October 12th. The undisputed light heavyweight crown. Beterbiev versus Bivol. One has 20 wins and 20 knockouts. Unmatched. One is undefeated and unstoppable. But only one can be undisputed. And don't miss the unbeatable undercard. Featuring Eubank Jr., Woodley versus Clark 2, Opataya, Whitaker, Nicholson, and more. Beterbiev versus Bivol and an unmissable undercard. Live on DAZN, October 12th. Buy now at DAZN.com.